Hello, friends. Hope you're doing good, keeping well, and taking care of yourself. Okay, it's a summer weather, so keep hydrated. I think that's the first thing, and try to tree indoors or under shades. Okay. Now, just to start on, okay, we have seen recent market movements where markets are suddenly erratic or moving, vaguely in a certain range. Okay, so what is happening is for a long time during the day, nothing much is happening, and then there are sudden movements. Mostly these movements are concentrated around the open or around the close. Okay, so, it is a bit tricky to trade these market conditions if you're a directional player, or maybe I don't know, if a non-directional player as well sometimes. But what is important is, it could be because of different reasons. It could be because of options players doing a lot of intraday stuff, and then certain bets are concentrated on a very few levels. What happens is once these levels get taken out, and there's a lot of bullwhip effect, which is basically one stop loss triggering a move, and then another stop loss getting triggered, and there is a bullwhip effect that happens in the market. Okay, so essentially a magnifier effect which tends to happen when market tries to cross a level. There's a magnifier effect and it results in a larger burst of move. But what is so these are the things that is not in our control and we can't do much about it. What is important is how do we try to best analyze these conditions and trade the markets here. Okay, so I'll just share a small point of view, small things that I'm observing and trading with these days, so that it just helps you to build a little more context. Okay, so first thing is, what is the larger trend around a certain level? Okay, that is the first thing we want to look at, so that we know, okay, I'm looking for a long bias or a short bias or conditions, sort of a condition. Okay, so let's just quickly have a look at how things are. So if you see, this is the weekly chart in Nifty. Okay, this is the weekly chart in Nifty, and what is happening on the weekly chart in Nifty is, if you these are the weekly chart and the weekly profiles. Okay, so Nifty, if you see, last couple of weeks, it has been like this. Okay, it has stayed this around between May to end of May, I think. Okay, this has it has stayed around this, in this range. Now it has broken out of this range, and now it is trading in this range, which is if you see last 2 weeks, markets basically are in a very tight range of 720 to 600 580 levels. Basically, that's what, 140 points. Okay, 150 points. It has not been able to take out one of these sides. So essentially, first thing first is, market is rotational in this range. Okay, so that you have to accept and move, live with until we break out of this range in a certain way. What is a breakout of this range? Probably a break below 580 or even 550, and then we have this potential, or a break above this range. Okay, then we have this potential. Okay, so first thing first is to realize that eventually market is just in a 140 point range in overall. So your targets, your stop losses, anything, if you're playing directional, has to be very limited. It cannot be looking for big breakout trades at this point until the breakout really happens. Okay, second is, we are mostly concentrating still in this region, and which is on the upside of the above bias. So essentially, if you see, it is going to create more pullback opportunities until we break this range. It is basically means, at this point now, buyers and sellers are interested at this level to transact, and they are willing to, especially on the buying side, they are willing to hold positions. Okay, right, previously, whenever buyers got to 500, 500 levels, there was an immediate sell off. Okay, now that sell off is not happening at a 500 level, is happening at a 700, 720 level. But 550, 500 levels are seeing a lot of buying activities, buying activity here, buying activity here, buying activity here. Yesterday, buying activity at a higher level. So there is generally a buying activity that is happening. Okay, and that buying activity bottom is trying to move up gradually as well. Okay, so the overall trend, as I said, that means more, until we break below 550, it remains a bullish play in the sense. Okay, now whether that bullish will play out or break out, we'll come to know with time. But that is the overall trend. Now, coming to intraday plays, if you see, try to have a very simple context in terms of the value, volume zones, etc. Okay, so if you see, there was a couple of days of value that was, and volume that was created in this range. Okay, in this range. So now, this range bottom should have been a support. So if you remember, a top, sorry, if you remember, yesterday I marked 640, 650 as a potential support, and my idea was that if we come here and we'll probably bounce off this level. Okay, And if you remember, I also had put 680, 690 as a resistance. So we did take a resistance there. We slipped down from here, but then eventually, there was a point in time yesterday during the day where I think it looked like I think somewhere around these regions it will look like it will take a support, but eventually it did not. It broke below and then it pulled back above. Okay, so what is the clue that we could have taken? One is if you see the delta or the cumulative delta. Okay, what happened during this time is if you see the prices, on an average moved and made a lower high. Okay, but the cumulative delta till this point was really flat, was not able to do anything. So essentially, uh, there was selling between this range to this range. Okay, but that selling was not able to further pull market down and create a lower low or test even that 580 region. Okay, so that was one minor proof that markets are trying to hold up. Whether it will rally this much or not, we do not know, but that is a minor proof that markets are able to hold up, and we could have, let's say, closed the position or waited for a more confirmed, down move candle, especially, and then taken that trade. Okay. Similarly, if you see in the morning, also, not that I'm cherry picking here, in the morning also, if you see, we had this buy opportunity market moving up. Okay, where did it stop? Below the value area low around yesterday. Okay, and then there was a sell off. But what happened is after this, if you see the delta, it never went above zero line. It never really became sort of strongly positive, and then the delta collapsed here. So that was again a confluence of market levels and the cumulative delta acting in your favor to determine that okay, market is not trying to go up. Okay, I cannot really use the delta sometimes immediately to decide how far, but it is not trying to go up. But in this, okay, now on the buying side activity, for example, of course, if you see this and this candle, okay, this candle, the delta change in this candle is significant, right? Okay, this candle, if you see here, these are the delta changes that was happening here. So there was, that means what, it took away all the selling activity that has happened all through almost this region, right? All through this region. Okay, and that it could be short covering, it could be fresh buying, we don't care, but it took away all the selling that happened in that region. So that becomes a clue that market can really push after this candle. Okay, and if you go to the details of the footprint chart also, there was a clue there where if you see there if here in this candle, specific candle, and the selling failed here, one. Okay, we do not know whether it will still go up or not, because the market has been doing uh, you know sort of oscillating in this range, right? There was not much clue. But then there was this buying candle here again, but it looked like it could not go. But this candle, once this happened, this was a clear break above Viva, plus a lot of buying activity coming in where selling activity was completely absorbed. So what was important is subsequently the second candle did not even pull back into this zone of this footprint level, and eventually went above that 650. Okay, did not even pull back into 645, 650, which we were tracking. Okay, and then eventually went above. Okay, so now let's look at some other days also, just for reference and clarity. Okay, I'll just delete everything, just a second. Okay, now look at something like again this day, look at how over a period of time cumulative delta and this thing is playing out. Okay, if you see this chart again, prices sort of flat or lower. Okay, and this is also something which is prices flat or lower. So basically, the buying push is lacking here. So, and that's the reason it become range bound. Okay, after that initial buying activity on those charts. Okay, go to a different day again. Here again, I'm trying to combine. I'll talk about another example. Let's say from the day before. Okay, what we are trying to do is we are trying to see where are the value in this region. Okay, if we have a value here, this one was a break below that value. Ideally, that break below should have continued from here, which is okay, which did not happen. This one was a break below this value of the last 2 3 days. Okay, ideally that should have happened. Once it is scaled back above this value, your expectation would be for market to traverse to the other side, which is 650, 660, and eventually if you see, it again came back here, took support here and rallied here. And where did it stop on the other side also? Mostly just above these ranges, okay, of value again. So once, remember, try to focus a market on in terms of value structures, and then confluence it with cumulative delta or order flow studies. Okay, the only lesson I can tell you here is wait for your spots a bit, okay, and then look to play that trade based on the core direction that you want to trade. Okay, if you know core direction that you want to trade actually. Okay, that's all for now.